Yeah, no, this was a good series.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and welcome if you happen to be new here. For today's review, this will be a spoiler review for Season 1 of Devil May Cry. This is the newest anime to drop onto Netflix by the lovely people at Studio Mir, who you will undoubtedly know their stuff if you've ever seen Legend of Korra or Voltron Legendary Defender, X-Men 97, and Young Justice, just to name a few of their well-regarded, highly praised projects in the past. This will be a spoiler review for Devil May Cry's first season. Hopefully we will be getting a season 2. So if you have not watched Devil May Cry on Netflix yet, please make sure that you do check it out before you undoubtedly and hopefully watch my full review of the entire first season. That will contain some spoilers and some major points from the 8-episode run. I will preface that with a few minutes of just generally talking about it, just to give my general thoughts on the series and where I would hopefully we'll get a season 2 to continue the story of the demon hunter Dante. If you don't know what Devil May Cry is, it is based off of the Capcom action adventure shoot 'em up game from the mid 2000s, if I remember when the first Devil May Cry came out. There have been multiple sequels of the game, but this is I believe the second incarnation of a series based off of the game. There was an anime back in like 2006 that I believe came out in Japan first, and then it was of course dubbed when it came to America. This series features the voice talents of Johnny Young Bosch as Dante, Scout Taylor Compton as Mary or Lady, Hung Lee as the White Rabbit or Rabbit, however you want to call it, Robbie Damon as Virgil, and it features the, I'm assuming, final performance of the legendary voice actor Kevin Conroy, who portrays the character of Vice President Barnes. I think the series was great. I think it was fantastic. I haven't seen a ton of anime adaptations for a lot of video games. There have been some, like they've done The Witcher on Netflix as an anime as well. This one I think was done exceptionally well. I thought the action and the animation were top tier. This is produced by Studio Mir, and like I've listed off their talents at the beginning of this video, it's undoubtable that this was going to visually be a great series. The story itself is focused on Dante, who is a demon hunter. He is exceptionally strong and powerful. He's very quippy, and he's probably that inner child in all of us that just never growed up, got a motorcycle and a twin pair of handguns.
Yeah, damn, he's cool.
He is trying to stop demons from entering the world from hell. Technically, they call it something completely different. I forget the name of it, but it's right here. He has to contend with the White Rabbit, who is attempting to break down the barrier between the realms, and also deal with Darkcom, who are led by the US government. Surprise, surprise, they're not the greatest group of people who are trying to eradicate demons by any means necessary, even if it's very unscrupulous means. They're led by Mary, who is also a demon hunter who works for Darkcom. All of these different characters' ultimate fates do collide with each other within the series, leading to a climactic battle at the end of the 8-episode run, which leaves us with a little bit of a cliffhanger leading into a hopefully and a potential season 2. Like I said, I think it was a great first season. It's not perfect, but for 8 episodes, I think it flowed very well. I think the series focused on the characters that needed to be focused on. There were some extra characters. Obviously, there are other elite demon hunters that work with Mary, as well as Enzo, who is kind of the broker or the person that hires Dante for different things. Those characters weren't focused on as much as preferred if you wanted us to invest in them more, except for Enzo. Enzo's character was given enough time to kind of be a part of the story in a meaningful manner. It's definitely a really good setup for anyone who's never played any of the games. It does feature a lot of lore and some cameos from other Capcom properties within the series. You don't have to necessarily have played any of the games to understand what's happening, which is one really good thing I think the series does very well. And I think it's funny, it's entertaining enough, but it also does have an emotional investment in at least Dante and Mary's story. At least for myself, it leaves me wanting more from those characters and a potential sequel, along with the debut of another very particular character who has a very close relationship with Dante that I hope we will see more of in a season 2. Of course, based off of what we got in season 1, I would highly doubt that we would not get more of that character. I do recommend checking out Devil May Cry, so do, if anything from this review that you are watching, do check it out. It's 8 episodes, they're only a half an hour each, and I think they flow very well. So that's non-spoiler stuff. Just so if you were curious what I thought about it, and if I would recommend you checking it out, then check it out for sure. Now on to the spoiler stuff. I would seriously say the episodes flow pretty well. There are some points where they do kind of just stop, where I was not expecting that to be the wrap up of the episode. I think episode 6 gives us the full backstory for both Mary and Rabbit's origins and what led them on the path that they're on within the series. I think was like probably the best episode from a visual standpoint, because they did utilize 2 different animation styles to mirror their characters. The White Rabbit, who is the main antagonist or villain of the first season, is really good. As a character, it is super relatable based off of how they went from being a human in the human realm to making their way to the demon realm or hell and finding a better life with the more downtrodden and neglected citizens of that realm, which is really interesting when you look at Mary's character, who had a happy home life, but things changed when her family had an encounter with a demon and her father became super obsessed with demons and the occult and stuff, and eventually became like a vampire and ended up killing her mother right in front of her, and she ultimately caused the events that killed her father. So that trauma hit her, while with Rabbit befriending and finding a family, because he was an orphan as a human and was in a terrible home life and escaped through a portal that led him into the demon realm and was taken in by a lovely family, and he grew with them, but to help them, because that realm, the air is poisonous and people, lower level demons, couldn't survive. He eventually found a way to lead them into the human realm. But of course, people are going to people, and he eventually leads them into tragedy, unintentional, that caused the death of the people he cared about, and which led him to become an insane villain. It's very Joker-like. It's very much like You Have One Bad Day. The design of Rabbit looks so cool. Anime villains, he's up there because he has a point. He has a vendetta against specifically Mary, who is the person who led her team to slaughter his family, because her mind, all demons are bad. And her perspective changes throughout the series as she encounters those more desperate and lower tier demons who are just refugees trying to survive. And she does slowly but surely, within the last 3 or 4 episodes, has a change of heart in regards to not all demons are bad.
You're a bit late for that!
But I love how their stories and their destinies intertwine. Kind of focus on them a lot because I didn't really talk about Dante. I mean, Dante is just, he
approximately 10 hours later
also experienced tragedy in his past. He is the son of a human and a demon. The demon is a legendary warrior named Sparta, who actually is the one who formed the barrier between the human world and the demon world, or hell, however you want to call it. Doing so causes a ripple effect, and that's also what caused the issues in that realm. While he might be regarded highly amongst humans maybe who know of him to be a person that saved their world, he ended up dooming another one. In that case, perception is really what everything kind of boils down to.
A certain point of view.
In Dante's case, in the stories that his mother would tell, he was a hero. He protected people. He protected them. His mother and his brother Virgil, which tragedy strikes him as well when his family is killed by demons, and that's what causes Dante to become a demon hunter. But he obviously handles his internal trauma in a different sense. He is very much unserious. He is very confident in his abilities. He is he's a quick machine.
Bang! Man, Skeletor did not hold up since the 80s. Not my best work, but you get it.
One-liners, whatever you got. It's not until halfway through the series he finds out he's actually half demon, and the whole purpose of the White Rabbit is that Dante is the son of Sparta. So in order to break the barriers down, White Rabbit has to collect a whole bunch of different artifacts in order to destroy the barrier. He has to collect the Sword of Sparta. Both Virgil and Dante had half of a crystal that combined with the sword is what allowed the barrier to be broken, but on top of that, he requires their blood. He already has the one half of the crystal, which is hard to believe since according to Dante, Virgil is dead, but we find out Virgil is actually alive and has been living in the demon realm under Mundus, who is the lord of hell basically, and he has a very different perspective of how the demon realm is actually handled. He's very loyal to Mundus, which is why I think season 2 is going to be very interesting, considering how the series does wrap up with Dante and Mary being able to take out Rabbit while also being able to prevent the barrier being completely destroyed. It was temporarily dropped down. Some of the demons made it in, but they eventually were blipped back into the demon realm once Dante reformed the barrier. But Mary, still gripping with her allegiance to Darkholm after the death of her entire team, which she did lead into an ambush, unfortunately, she decides to still side with Darkholm, bringing Dante plus the crystals in. Government, led by Barnes, who's portrayed by Kevin Conroy in the series, eventually do make their way to the demon realm, like a full military occupation, pretty much starting a holy war between humans and demons. And this is where Virgil's character will probably come in season 2, while Dante, who is currently captive by Darkholm, I think they changed their name at the end of the series, and the little montage towards the end, is currently being held captive within their facility. I'm not sure what happens to Mary towards the end of it, but those are pretty much where the series leads off. Very excited to see how they handle the reuniting of Dante and Virgil. I know in the games, with my limited knowledge of the games, there's a lot of contention between the two, but I think there are times when they team up with each other. Correct me if I'm wrong if you know more about the Devil May Cry games than I did. Like I said, I've only ever played like one of them, and I didn't even make it halfway through. But the action within the series is awesome. The animation is done super well. I love when Dante is going up against a lot of the different mercenaries, how he is just handling them super easily. It's to a level of embarrassment, but that's kind of the point, to show off Dante's skills and abilities, as well as when they are on Air Force One and it explodes and he has to try to pull an Iron Man 3 and rescue everybody, unlocking his double trigger, which was one of the keys needed in order to break the barrier in the first place. So the whole first half of this season, Rabbit is trying to unleash Dante's devil trigger because he needs his demon blood awakened in order to perform the ritual. So his devil trigger is unleashed in, I believe it's episode 4, when he's trying to rescue people who are still on Air Force One after the plane explodes. That whole sequence is awesome. The Devil Trigger transformation is really cool. I love the design of it. I guess I'll call them the Demon Generals. I believe, if I'm correct, a lot of them are main villains from the games, but in here they're more like sub-demon, like generals who work under White Rabbit. I think going with White Rabbit, going with a character who is motivated not for power or for control or anything like that, I think was a smart idea for this first series. I don't believe that this particular season or how they have worked this story is a direct adaptation from any of the games. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I like the fact that you have such a versatile story of demons, realms, demon hunter, that you can tell your own story and make it compelling and engaging for an audience member to watch and be invested in, especially if you've never played any of the games. And that's one of the tricky things about adapting a video game character into a series, is that a lot of times when they're done, they kind of try to do it beat for beat based off of one of the games. But if you have a story like this, at least with Devil May Cry, you can craft your own story using the characters, using the settings to tell your own story and not be completely reliant on like the games itself. I'm sure there are some changes between the lore of the games and the lore that the season set up, but for someone whose most exposure to the franchise is through some of the games, but primarily through this series, I think it did a really good job kind of navigating that and making it digestible for just your average viewer to get invested in it. I mean, Dante is a charismatic character. He's a little stupid. He's very oblivious to certain things, or that could be by design, because when you're processing traumatic events throughout your life, sometimes you compartmentalize or you mask it through humor, through goofiness, through absent-mindedness, because you don't want to necessarily have to face or process those feelings. And while it's not as dramatic as, say, Rabbit or Mary's journey, all three of the characters experience a great deal of trauma at a very young age. And it's super interesting how the series allows you to observe the trajectory of all three of these characters who had similar beginnings but drastically different futures and motivations and outcomes to their stories. So I think a series based off of a video game, that's pretty dope. I really hope we get a season 2. I think a season 2 would be so much cooler. I didn't realize Robbie Daymond did the voice of Virgil. I love Robbie Daymond. I've been a fan of his for a number of years now, so that's super cool. All the voice talents in this series were so well done. The fact that Kevin Conroy gave such a masterful performance as Barnes, the fanaticism that character exuberated throughout the series to pretty much be the, I don't want to say secret villain, but additional villain of season 1. His decision to override Mary's choice to spare the refugees and give them help, to turn around and rip that hope away from these people and obliterate them in a hail of gunfire is horrible. It is a horrible thing, and it just makes you want to see this character get their comeuppance. Hong Lee's performance as Rabbit, super well done as well. Like I said, the Rabbit character, the design of it, I loved it. I really enjoyed that character's design. It's menacing, it's whimsical, but it is such a cool design. I would be interested to see where Mary is at this point, how that character progresses further into season 2. I wonder if she will find out what Barnes did and how much of that may force her to finally make her own decisions beyond being conscripted into this organization at such a young age. And with Dante's reuniting with Virgil in a season 2, I think that would be an awesome scene as well. Dante was of course voiced by Johnny Young Bosch. I think he did a fantastic job. He wasn't the original in-game voice actor for Dante. He did play Nero in I believe it's the Devil May Cry 5 and 6, who is, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but is he the son of Virgil? I believe so. I think Dante is his uncle and Virgil is his father. They smashed it out of the park for season 1 of Devil May Cry. I hope this leads to more anime adaptations for video games that you might not be able to do in live action. The fact we've never had a live action Devil May Cry 2 is just surprising to me, but hey, I'll take the anime version of it. There were some Capcom Easter eggs. There was a reference to Raccoon City, as well as like a little Mega Man bobblehead. I'll take an anime version of Mega Man as well. I said it in the Secret Levels review. Give me a Mega Man series for crap's sakes, I am so tired of waiting. Give me a Mega Man series. But I do recommend checking out Devil May Cry. Let me know what you thought of the season in the comments down below. Let me know if this piqued your interest in checking out the series and what you would hope for season 2. And if you are really knowledgeable of the lore of the games or of the game stories, let me know if this season, if this story was mirrored or taken from one of the games, or if they took the framework and just kind of reworked it. Let me know those things in the comments. I'll be curious to see how much of the game and the series like bleed into each other, or if it's pretty spot on one-on-one. I'd love to hear that in the comments. So thank you so much for checking out this video. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you happen to enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me. Check out a bunch of the videos I have on this channel. I have a huge backlog of videos. Feel free to check those out. I've got more videos coming. It's a little slower, but you know what? It just allows me to, I don't want to say pick and choose, but you know, I like to do some things off the beaten path when I can. I do lives, all that fun stuff. So subscribe to be notified when those things drop. But yeah, you can follow me on most social media at DGeekWill. There are videos probably here from YouTube, so click on any of them. Hope you have a great rest of your day, week, or month whenever you're watching this video. And until next time, I will catch you later. See ya.